Hello everyone and welcome to New York City. We've left Marrakesh, we've crossed the Atlantic, and here we've arrived on the east coast of the United States of America. One of the largest cities in the world, officially classified as a megacity with over 10 million people living here. We're in Brooklyn, one of 5 boroughs? I don't know. Anyway, here's the track. The start line is on, you guessed it, the start-finish straight, and then we go straight into turn 1. Left, right, through to turn 5, where the attack mode activation zone is. Turn 6 and 7, bit of a tight chicane, could see some carnage there. Turn 10 and 11 lead you right down to the fast chicane of turns 12 and 13, which could be very, very challenging for some drivers. If they nab the ball, they'll spin their car around. Here is the starting grid there. Nobody qualified in P24, P23 or P22. However, in P21 we have the first of the qualifiers, M8 Poland for the Nissan E-Dams team. We then have Srochkol, I think that's how you pronounce it, in P20 for Audi. P19 is Jelks Dragon, it's Nerdy Gaming. P18 is Jogsy in the BMW i Andretti. Critical Noobs in P17 for the other Nissan E-Dams team. Kevin O'Stinky lines up P16 with Wolf Landry lining up P15. F1 Fan lines up P14, and then the Mahindra of Fenoli, I believe, lines up in P13. P12 with Lanor in the Envision Virgin Racing car. Roadblock Doom lines up P11 in the Rocket Venturi. Fenon Jaster lines up P10 in the first position of the points. Wasup, I believe that's how you pronounce that, in P9. P8 is Golf and Greg, and P7 is just Matt and the other tag who are Porsche. Power Unit is being replaced by East Sliders in P6. P8 is Gene in the DS Cheetah. P4 is Professor Bloxer. P3 is JQN Rec. P2 is the first from Mercedes, it's 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and P1 yet again is Dakar 2. So everyone, we are in for what is meant to be an eventful race today here in New York. Just going to try and get the cameras set up quickly. Right, so here we go. We should now be able to bring you some live cameras of the formation lap as it gets underway rather slowly. This is Roblox Doom. And here is Dakar then lining up in his P1 position. I believe the spectating system may be slightly broken for today. I believe we only have one external camera. Wow, Dakar got here very early. We only have one external camera, which is in the middle of turns 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So hopefully that will be able to let us see an external view of the attack mode activation, which is quite important. And then for the rest of the app, we're just going to have to go on board, which is a shame, but it's a workaround we will have to deal with for today's race. All the drivers being told to jump out of their cars and jump back in so they populate the driver leaderboard. And as the lights come on, here are 4 lights, here are 5 lights, and they go out very quickly, and we are away in New York City. Dakar gets away well as his teammate Seva comes to cut across the other drivers as they now head into turns 1 and 2. It's all looking very mishmashed together at the moment. They're going to spread out over this next straight though. Here is Golf Fun Greg right in the mix of it in the Tag Heuer Porsche. Everyone is starting to file through one by one through the first chicane of the track, if you don't count turns 1 and 2. As they now pass down through, this is turn 9, they're now approaching the hairpin. This is where you can really gain some time. If you get a good exit out of here, it will absolutely blast you down this following straight, which isn't that long, because it's immediately followed by this right-hander, which feeds you through one of the fastest chicanes on the Formula E calendar, which is barricaded by walls, and that's already someone getting hit out. Is that power unit getting hit out in the Audi? I believe that might have been. It's one Audi got hit out, or that was East. That might have been East Sliders, because he has fallen down massively. And Mercedes has already gone off. Who's that? That's not Seva. Was that a Mercedes? I don't know. There was some black car that just managed to go off, or it might have been one of the East Envisions. I just saw a black car go off. I'm also eating chocolate, by the way. You can tell that this is a... Was that Lanor? I don't know. You can tell this is a really professional stream, because I'm eating chocolate. I've also improved the driver tower for your viewing pleasure. The numbers actually look properly black now, so you can actually read them. As Dakar takes the fastest lap of the race, already 3 seconds ahead of his teammate. Here's Cast, the current leading Porsche. He's currently separated by Professor Bloxer in the Geox, who's getting proper feisty out here right now. He wants to take this position down into turn 9. Is he going to be able to do it? Who gets a better exit? It seems like Cast does for the time being. However, this hairpin could change everything, as it now seems that Professor Bloxer could be ahead. Quite difficult to tell though, because these people are literally fighting for the smallest of margins. The two Audis of East Sliders and Power Unit didn't get the best of starts, currently running P15 and P16 respectively. The first people to take attack mode have already. Critical Noob has taken his. Andrea Dovizio has taken their attack mode, as well as Father Quebec right at the back of the field in his BMW. He's crashed already. He may have been the person who actually crashed out at the start of the race, not doing very well there. And also someone else not doing very well is 420 Merc Music, one of the best drivers on the grid, currently running P20. Anyway, let's go back on board Critical Noob, see how much he can catch up to these Audis, considering he has extra power than them currently, as he has activated his attack mode. Two other people who have activated their attack modes is Professor Bloxer in P5, Dakar. Sengstam's also jumping on the trains now, going for very early attack mode strategies from the top drivers. This is Dakar going around the hairpin of turn 10. There's a Rocket Venturi stopped on track somewhere. Was that Roblox Doom or was that Kevin O'Stinky? I believe that may have been Kevin O'Stinky, because he has disconnected from the game. That is the first DNF of this race. Kevin O'Stinky is out of the race. Fenn Jaster has just managed to get ahead of 420 Merc Music in the Mahindra. As JQN Rec has now taken his attack mode as well. Professor Bloxer has made it up into P4 now with attack mode. As Dakar is setting purple sectors out of nowhere. He currently holds the fastest lap, and if he keeps it up at this rate, he will have the new fastest lap, because he will be improving on his time. What does he manage to do in this third sector? As he comes to cross the line, he sets another purple sector 3, which means he's improved on his lap time, leading out front. He doesn't even have Slipstream to help him. He's already 7 seconds ahead of the, or 8.25 seconds ahead of the car behind him, which is just switched to JQN Rec. His teammate Sever is now running in the final podium position available to him. Once Takar starts hitting the 50 seconds, that's when he's going to be approaching back markers. Professor Bloxer has also managed to make his way up into P2 now, overtaking JQN Rec. That put all but JQN Rec said that no thank you. He's just overtaken Professor Bloxer again. But that's Professor Bloxer in front of you, who seems to be ahead again, as they now go into turn 11 and then through 12 and 13 into the super fast chicane. Is anyone going to get caught out? No, they're not. Very precise through that chicane, round the final corner. Professor Bloxer is fair and square out ahead now, so he's going to be able to line up P2. JQN Rec gets demoted to P3, and Sever is pushed out of the podium positions. Nerdy Gaming, Golfungred Cast, Roblox Doom, Fanali, and Wasup have all taken attack mode as well, and Andrego Divizio may have taken theirs as well. I'm not sure anymore. I'm losing track. As Gene's also taken attack mode. Everyone in the top 7 is taking attack mode now. More than half the field have attack mode activated. Attack mode is really only effective when your rivals don't have it activated, so considering most people have it activated now, maybe waiting until later parts of the race would be a better strategy. We'll just have to see what the engineers end up telling their drivers to do. And this is F1 Fan taking his attack mode in the Envision car. Sengstam in the Neo 3Q3 has also taken his attack mode. As the first attack modes are now starting to run out, Dakar's lost his attack mode, Professor Bloxer has lost his attack mode. Sengstam has also just lost his attack mode. 10 seconds now between P2 and P1. The funny thing about Dakar's current performance is that technically he is a Mercedes reserve driver. He mentioned in Miggy Ditch's new podcast the other day that he will probably be one of the first reserve drivers to win a championship within Ion. Considering if you're a reserve driver, you rarely get the chance to be the dominant driver, as you're usually switched out for someone else. But Mercedes have lost their main drivers. The only main driver they sort of have now is Sever. That's Professor Bloxer getting all out of shape out of turn 11. That's going to secede 2 positions. He's now going to fall down to P4. JQN Rec and Sever just managed to get past him out of that corner. Golf and Greg has managed to get ahead of Nerdy Gaming with his new team, the Geox Dragon team. Sevis managed to make his way back up into P2, back on the podium, back where he started the race, although timings-wise he's a lot further behind his teammate. Father Quebec has just been lapped. Pretty much everyone up to P21 now has been lapped. Dakar is soon going to start approaching what's that? Well, that's wonderful. For some reason, we just lost the driver tower. I can't tell you why that happened. I will try to. For the time being, I'm going to leave you on board with Dakar. There we go. Got it back now. For some reason, the driver tower feeds just went black, and I have no idea why it did, but it did, so we've got it back now. Panic averted. And that is Felon. They've just flipped around in the Mahindra. Seems like a couple people are now actually being caught out by these walls here. We've already seen Father Quebec get caught out by it, and now Fen and Jaster has been caught out as well in his Mahindra. F1 Fan and Lano, the two Envisions, are currently the only cars out on track with attack mode activated. Jacob and Reckless holding the final podium position. Make that now just Lano. Cast has managed to get ahead of F1 Fan. Dakar still storming ahead, now catching up to, what is that? That's Andrea Divisio at 04 now. He's managed to catch up to him. Up next on track is 420 Mac Music with the attack mode activated. How long is it going to take him to be able to catch up? Because basically, as soon as you are 52 seconds behind the leader, you are lapped. This is Eastsiders. He has taken attack mode. We're going to see his teammate does also take attack mode. However, in doing so, it allows Roblox Doom to get between the two Audis. They're currently both out of the points. So at this rate, it's basically who can get into the points first. For the time being, it seems like it will be East. He's only 2 positions away. This is F1 Fan. currently in the last points position, now rounding turn 1. You see how very tight it is to get through turns 3 this is, turn 4 up next, and then finally turn 5, especially when you're under pressure from behind from the Neo 333 of Sengstam. Leclerc still holds fast this lap. The only people improving so far is Eastern Power Unit and 420 Merc. They're all setting green, which are personal best sectors. Ideally, for fastest lap, you want to be setting purple sectors, and purple stands for session best, so you're better than everyone else. Yellow sectors means you don't really improve. And then red sectors, if anyone's in the game joining us, that means you've cut a corner. But here in New York, it's quite difficult to cut a corner without driving through and into a wall. So if anyone does get a red sector, then probably not the best of days for them. Okay, now coming up to some of these drivers, including Critical Noob, 420 Merc Music. He's about to take them all. So that's now everywhere up to P17, is now 1 lap down. Up next it's Wolf Landry. Think how crazy that is. Dakar now going up to lap Wolf Landry. These two have both shared a podium in Formula 1. Now in Formula E, Dakar is absolutely dominating. Well, I mean, he was dominating in Formula 1, but he's not by this much. Apart from in Japan. Japan. Yeah, he lapped everyone. Leclerc himself has said that he believes he's better at street circuits than normal classic circuits, which is quite evident considering his pure pace in Formula E. He can be so precise through these corners. You can see he's hitting every single apex. I don't believe he has missed an apex yet all race, or at least not one that we've caught. Here is JQN Rec in the BMW, currently running P4. Professor Bloxer currently holds the final podium position, and that is Andrea Divizio, currently spun round on turn 2. Must have just lost it out of turn 1 in order to do that. However, he is driving again, currently P19. Power unit is the last person on track with attack mode. That's what I was trying to say. His teammate has run out. I believe Power unit took it a lap later, so he will run out a lap later. And as Lanor04, sorry, has taken his attack mode in the Envision Virgin racing car, as Father Quebec has also taken his attack mode all the way down in P23, now 264 seconds behind the leader. Professor Bloxer is all over the back of Seva right now. These two cars are extremely close together as they now head down into turn 10, into the hairpin. Who can get the better exit out of here? It is still Seva dominating over Professor Bloxer, but is it going to change through the last series of corners? Because if you nab the ball through here, you could be easily spun around. Andrea Divizio and Fenerli, they've both taken their second attack modes of the race, I believe. We're now into lap 23, so just past half distance. We're still observing the battle between Sever and Professor Bloxer. However, as one lap later, Professor Bloxer seems to be in a bit more contention for that second place. However, is Sever going to hold on to it as they cross the timings line? Sever still holds on to it, but just by 0.2 of a second. This gap is shrinking by lap by lap. Critical Noob has also taken attack mode in his Nissan Edan's car. Wolf Landry is now the latest driver to get onto the attack mode trend. Dakar has also taken his second attack mode of the race. He's now 26 seconds ahead of Sever, who is only 0.02 of a second ahead of Professor Bloxer. That gap does seem to have gotten a little bit bigger though, however, as they now dive into the first chicane of the track. Sever still stays ahead. None of the drivers in this battle get caught out. The only places where you can really get caught out but on this track is the fast chicane of turns 12 and 13. So you've got to be careful as you're heading through here. The person who got the better exit out of this corner, I'm going to say it's Sever. He's gaining a little gap on Professor Bloxer. However, as they now head into the chicane, who's going to get caught out? Nobody's going to get caught out. They are pretty much inside of each other right now. Sever keeps his lead on Professor Bloxer, who's latest on the brakes into turn 1. It seems to be Sever. Sever's just absolutely dominating over Professor Bloxer right now. The gap is getting shorter though. The gap is getting shorter and shorter, and the gap is pretty much non-existent now between these two drivers. Very, very good talent between both of them. As Takara set a purple sector 2 and a purple sector 3 ahead of these two drivers, 25 seconds up the road. 26 seconds up the road to make that. Brennan Jaster has taken his attack mode, as well as M8 Poland. They're both on attack mode now, as Andrea Divizio has just lost his. Professor Bloxer seems to have now managed to get ahead of Sever, but only just. Barely half a second between them. We're going to have to keep an eye on that very close battle. Let's look slightly further back though. Here is JQN Rec in the BMW. He's got the Porsche of Wolfgang Greg ahead, and he's got the Porsche of Castronics behind. So he's pretty much in a Porsche sandwich. "30 seconds now between Dakar and Professor Bloxer. That's over half a lap. That's just absolutely insane. At this rate, it seems like if Dakar makes no mistakes, he will be able to lap absolutely everyone in this race, but you're going to have to be careful, because if the P2 and P3 drivers of Professor Bloxer and Sever speed up, then he may have a slightly more difficult chance of actually managing to get that record for a second Ion race this year. The only people really improving on track right now is Wolf Landry, W Soup, maybe M8 Poland as well, but they're all the way down in P22, 184 seconds behind the leader, so that probably doesn't really count. F1 fans also improving, they're all setting green sectors, which means they're improving on their personal best, but not improving on the overall session, which, to be honest, isn't that surprising, considering everyone I just mentioned, they've all been lapped by Dakar at least once. In M8 Poland's case, probably up to 3 times now, if my maths is correct. East, Power Unit, F1 Fan, all running attack mode currently. I believe F1 Fan had been running his before. However, Power Unit and East, they're two brand new attack mode users for the second time round. Both Audis. Now just East is just one position off of the points now for Audi. Lano is very, very, very close indeed, so it's going to be interesting to see if he will be able to get ahead of that Envision car and score at least 1 point for the Audi team today. Power Unit managed to start quite high up on the grid in P6. He did manage to get into Super Pole, however he has not managed to replicate that into a good performance today so far. He's out of the points, however 15 laps are remaining of the New York City ePRIX. He's getting a bit out of shape there, sliding around slightly. So we're just going to have to wait and see what can happen to the Audi team today. Gene and JQN Rec have attack mode. They're going to have that extra 25 kilowatts of energy. They're going to be able to use that, spend that, and hopefully recover a bit as well later on during the race, because if not, they will start to run out of energy. If you run out of energy, you're going to stop on track. You're going to not be able to finish the race. And if you don't finish the race, well, then you get no points. And that is a Mercedes sideways. Is that Sever? Sever's falling down. I believe Sever just flipped around sideways. I also just remembered that the owner of the Mercedes team requested that we call them Ferrari. Kaikara requested that we call Mercedes Ferrari from now on. So I made a compromise. I said that I would start calling the Mercedes Merrari. See what I did there. So in these final laps, if I ever have to refer to Dakar again or Sever, they're going to be driving Merraris. That rolls off the tongue really, really badly. However, it was requested, so I will allow it for now, unless it gets on my nerves, which it already is. Professor Block's running P2. Sever dropping back has given Lawful and Greg P3 for free, basically. That's a Porsche currently on the podium, unless something drastic happens in these remaining 12 and a bit laps, which you will have to keep your eyes peeled for, because anything can happen. Quite literally anything can happen. Lawful and Greg is bouncing all over the place here. Cast has just taken attack mode. That's Lawful and Greg's teammate in the other Porsche. He's currently running P6, which is going to bring home some good points for the team. The only people ahead of him at the moment is Sever. Oh, the only position you can fight for is Sever. Ahead, you can also see M8 Poland. However, they are a back marker, a lapped car. Now 200 seconds behind Dakar. Professor Bloxer now just a mere 38.7 seconds behind Dakar, who is of course driving the Merrari, and that is Father Quebec spun around yet again. Not very surprised at this point, to be honest. He'd probably done that, I don't know, at least 10 times by now. This race is very similar to the race we saw in Adsdiria, first race of the season. Pretty much everyone was spinning around left, right and centre, clipping their rear wheels or front wheels on walls. Father Quebec now 424 seconds behind the leader. Just driving for fun now, I bet. As Cast is coming in with a good performance here, actually, at least on this lap. He set a purple Sector 1. If he can keep this up through the remaining sectors, which he can't through Sector 2, I wonder if that margin's going to be enough for him to be able to claim fastest lap from Dakar. Looking unlikely at the moment, unless he can pull something miraculous out of the hat in Sector 3. Is it going to be a rabbit, or is it going to be a fastest lap of the race as he crosses the line? He can't improve in Sector 3. He only managed to get purple in Sector 1, so he's improving in Sector 1. not in the rest of the lap though. But consistency is key, so if you do want to get that fastest lap cast, speed up in the rest of the sectors. That's my advice to you. Probably not very good advice, considering that's what you wanted to do anyway, but whatever, I've said it now. Here's Seva in the other Ferrari, or Mercedes, in P6, now pretty much neck and neck with Cast, as they now head down into turn 10, that's the hairpin corner. Right next to the sea, you can see on the left there, that is the edge of the docks here in Brooklyn. This is, of course, the Brooklyn Street Circuit. We are in New York City, the Big Apple itself. You're probably surprised that I didn't make any puns of that in the intro, which, I'm thinking, in hindsight, that would have been a really good idea. I'll try to think up some now in these remaining 9 laps of the race. Sengstam setting a personal best sector 1 and 2 in his Neo 333 car. He's currently scrapping with Power Unit. Power Unit seems to want to be ahead, but then Sengstam says, no, I want to be ahead, let me be ahead. But it's better, I don't know where that word came from. I'm going to be honest, I don't know where that word came from. They're both going to want to be better off than each other. I hope that sentence makes sense. Power Unit will want to score some points just like his teammate East. Sengstam will also want to try and score some points, get ahead of the Envision of Lanor 04. Cast has now managed to made his way up into P3. Technically, he's also a reserve driver for the Porsche team. He left his main driver role. However, his colleague at Porsche, I guess you could call it, just Matt, isn't racing today. He did qualify, however. You saw him on the starting grid animation. He did qualify, but he is not racing today. Which is kind of a shame, because if he could put out a Cast performance, then he may be able to get a podium for the team. That was Fernand Jaster. You just saw, who was stopped on track pretty much in the Mahindra. Like I said earlier, lots of people getting caught out by these very close walls today. As you can see, they line the track, and if you get caught on them, then you're pretty much guaranteed to be spun round, or at least slowed down quite significantly. You also don't really want to outdo your braking zone, just like the BMW there did. Was that Father Quebec? What a surprise it was. Oh dear. This is a Builder of Worlds Interior moment. This is quite sad. Father Quebec's a nice guy, so owner of Aston Martin in Formula 1, Formula 2. Better works as a team principal than a driver. No offence, but that's just fact. I love being in this position. I could just slant whoever I want, and then everyone will believe me, I hope. Here's Wolf Landry then, in the Jaguar. Let's move on from that. I don't want to get told off by Cash. Lap 39 of 45 of the New York City ePRIX in the Big Apple itself. New York City. In New York. You could probably assume that yourselves. But just in case you didn't know, New York City is actually in New York. Nerdy Gaming has taken his attack mode in the Geox Dragon. That's his new team for this weekend, and I think for the rest of the season. He was originally with Mahindra, but he's moved over to Geox Dragon. I have no clue why, but he has. Wonder if he would have been replaced at Mahindra, so he's had to move here instead. He is good at a midfield performance, I do have to say so myself, so that would make sense if he was kicked out, why someone else would want him, but I'm unsure of the details, so I won't comment on that anymore. What I will comment on, however, is Cast, who's remaining in the P3 position for the Porsche team. He's flipped-flopped with Lolfung Greg. He was in P3. Cast is now in P3, fending off from Seva in the Ferrari or Mercedes. For those of you just joining us, the Mercedes team boss, Kai Kara, did request that we call the team Ferrari from now on, so I settled with him at Merrari, which is, you get the best of both worlds. 420 Merc Music in P18 currently has his attack mode for 3 minutes and 30 more seconds. Nerdy Gaming has his attack mode for 3 more minutes as Professor Bloxer disconnects. He's disconnected from the game. He's DNF'd. That's an internet connection issue. I doubt it would have been deliberate. That's going to promote Cast to P2 and promote Seva in the other Mirari to P3. Dakar has now lapped everyone apart from Cast. That is Cast ahead of him. Yep, that is Cast ahead of him. Let's go on board with Dakar in the Mirari to see if on lap 41 he will be able to lap everyone in the race. Or is Cast going to be driving for his life right now to be the only driver not to be lapped by Dakar this race? And I do apologise, that isn't Seva being promoted to P3, that was JQN Rec being promoted to P3, but Seva has just taken P3 away from JQN Rec. Professor Bloxer has rejoined the game, but he cannot rejoin the race. He is falling down the order. That's giving everyone a free position. It's going to move Father Quebec up into P22. Probably a better position than when he started. Dolphin Greg has attack mode as well. He may be able to get ahead of JQN Rec because they, on the timing tower at least, are very close on track. Again, they are very close. You can get the slipstream from some of these back markers, which will give you a big advantage down the straights, because slipstream, for those of you who don't know, basically if a car ahead of you blocks out the air, then you can just drive into what is, well, essentially there'll be less air in front of you, which in turn speeds your car up, which is why you want to try and be behind cars when racing, because these cars emit so little dirty air. And yeah, you could see that was Father Quebec crashed into the wall yet again. Dolphin Greg getting a bit slidey, trying to catch up to JQN Rec. These cars emit so little dirty air because instead of a massive rear wing, they have a massive diffuser, taking advantage of the Venturi effect. If you don't know what that is, Google it. I just stole that line from Cash and Diria, and I don't care. Let's look at Cass then. Has he managed to be lapped by Dakar yet? I don't see a Dakar in front of him. I do see a Cast ahead of Dakar though. So this is the onboard from Dakar in his Mirari, aka Mercedes. Two more laps to go. I'm not placing my bets on if he'll manage to lap Cast. I think he might be able to, but I'm not sure. That's a rather big gap, and to cross that and to close that in 2 laps, what's now going to be 1 and a bit laps. Dakar has got a little challenge on his hands, but if he really wants to do it, he probably can. He's driving away into the not sunset, not sunrise, just into the horizon right now. Being very precise through that turn. Forgot what turn number that was. What if it's turn 9? Turn like 6 and 7? Turn 6 and 7 chicane. That's the hairpin. Very, very, very nicely perfected. Just clipping all these apexes so gracefully. You've got to be very gentle, very smooth, but you've also got to be fast. Racing consistently, it's pretty much getting the best of both worlds. Here we go then, on board with Dakar. He sets the final lap, starts the final lap of the race. This is the onboard from Cast. Is Dakar going to be able to get ahead of him? I don't know. Let's have a look with Lol Fun Greg though, because he's closing up on Seva. He has attack mode, Seva does not. That means that Greg has a chance of getting ahead of the Mirari Mercedes of Seva. They're very close on the timings tower. Physically, it seems as if Lol Fun Greg has managed to get ahead, which he has. It's currently a Porsche 2-3. Father Quebec is in the wall yet again. Has Dakar managed to get ahead of Cast? 1 second between them. Cast is going to be the only person not to be lapped this race because he crosses the line. He's going to have to do 1 more lap because the winner of this race is Dakar too. He's won yet again as a Mirari reserve driver. That sounds so wrong. He's won again as a Mercedes reserve driver. Lol Fun Greg crosses the line to finish P3. Seva crosses the line to finish P4. And JQN Rec crosses the line to finish P5. Cast is going to have to do 1 more lap. He's going to have to spend his energy, which I hope he will have enough of to do. I hope that his Porsche engineers weren't predicting that he would be lapped. So pretty much at this rate he can crawl through, because nobody is realistically... Well, nobody can catch up to him. He's the only driver who hasn't been lapped. Here we go then. Cast coming to cross the line to finish P2. A 2-3 for the Tag Heuer Porsche team. 52.1 seconds and 54.47 seconds behind Dakar, respectfully, between Cast and Rolf van Greg. Seva very close to the podium. Would have landed on the podium several times through this race. However, seems as if Cast and Rolf van Greg would have ended up ahead of him, because their strategy just ended up better. Dakar ended up on top because of pure pace, and I bet you Professor Bloxer would have ended up on that podium if it wasn't for that unfortunate disconnect. But sadly, he did disconnect from the race. Here's Dakar lining up in Parc Fermé. Fermé. I just said Parc Fermé. Parc Fermé. Parc Fermé. There you go. And also, luckily, someone's smiting people. This is the first Formula E stream in like 2 or 3 weeks that has... Well, unless you count what happened to the driver tower. This is like the first FE stream that started on time and didn't go wrong. Which is quite cool. Here is Parc Fermé and the podium. Some people are already spraying the rose water. Dakar's car has despawned, which is brilliant. Sad thing is, these, unlike the F1, F2 and GT3 Parc Fermés, these cars actually despawn, which is kind of sad, because it would be nice to see them lined up. The Porsche 2-3. Although one of the Porsches has just been stolen. But still, we're going to wait for this podium ceremony. I believe the drivers are now getting themselves lined up in the cool-down room. So now we are just waiting. Power unit seems to be sitting in the Ferrari car. Mercedes car. People are already being killed. I suspect that may be Dakar doing something behind the scenes. Or he's going to start zapping people with lasers. Here is your podium then. We've got Rolf and Greg lining up in P3. Cast is lining up in P2. Dakar on pole. And I can't exactly read. Oh yeah, that's Lion Guy. That's Dakar's engineer on the winning team podium step. Here is Dakar then, zapping everyone with lasers. Apart from the battle for the lead, which was pretty much non-existent from Lights Out, this has been a very exciting race. Some very close battles for remaining podium positions. And some positions in the points as well. Make sure to go check out our games then. We have 2 games now since the last stream. We have the Ion Formula Racing game, if you want to get your hands on some Formula 1 cars. And we also have the Ion IEV game, if you want to get your hands on some Formula E cars. You can just go drive around. There we go. Just pretend that disconnect didn't happen. Yeah, so thank you guys for watching the broadcast for the New York City ePRIX. And I hope to see you in our next broadcast, which I'm not actually sure what the next race will be. We have had some discussions about the remaining races of the calendar, but next week you will know what that race is. So thank you for watching. Make sure to subscribe to the Ion Media or the Ion Racing channel if you want to see some more cool stuff from the media team here at Ion. And yeah, have a good rest of your day. This has been Ion Formula E, and we'll see you next time.